Consistency is one of the most important things, especially when you're learning new skills, as we've talked about, learning new skills and abilities. Being consistent is what is so important. Now, you can apply this to pretty much anything that you're doing. If you're trying to lose weight, isn't it about the consistency of what you're doing, how you're doing it? If you're exercising, you can't just expect to exercise one day here and then just kind of be done. Like, I didn't notice any results because you weren't being consistent with it. Being consistent with your schedule, with your plan, just keep going and going and going. You have to have that consistency, or else you're not going to see any sort of results. So this has been something that I've just been doing for a very, very long time as well. And I talked about like the stock trading as well. That's another very good example of being consistent. Because if you're risking $100 for this one trade that you're doing, and then the next one you're risking $1,000, that's very inconsistent with what you're doing here. Then you end up losing on the $1,000, and then you end up winning on the $100 ones, and you end up losing a lot of money because you weren't being consistent. So that's what really helped bring a lot of this into focus of how consistent you have to be with any sort of thing that you're doing. Any sort of thing that you're learning, that you're trying to implement into your life, any sort of anything really, you have to be consistent with it. You have to keep at it no matter how hard it is. Kind of going back to the stock trading thing as well. So, for example, if I have a rule set, let's just say I am risking $10. Okay, I'm risking $10. Let's say for two or 3 days in a row, I lost that $10. So then I'm like, I don't want to lose that $10 again. So I'm only going to risk $5. And then that's the one time it ends up winning. And because I only risked $5, I end up making half the amount of money that I could have made. I wasn't consistent because I let my emotions get in the way. And I feel as though that is what the deterrent for a lot of people are when it comes to being consistent. Your emotions are getting in your way. Your emotions, maybe you're not patient enough. Like if you're exercising, if you're trying to eat better and everything, you have the mindset of it's too hard, I don't want to do this, all this sort of stuff. You have to be consistent no matter what. Okay? No matter what. And I keep bringing up the whole stock market trading thing because that's been something that it's like, for me, it's been one of the biggest learning lessons when it comes to being consistent. It's like you look at this, no matter how much if it follows whatever rules that I have in place, no matter what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to just manage my emotions effectively. Whatever happens, happens. Okay? I'm not going to alter anything about it because that would be making it inconsistent. Okay? Inconsistent. We can't have that inconsistency. No, we can't. It must be consistent. So that is one of the major keys to success in any sort of thing. Being consistent. Being consistent with your work, with your job, with the things that you're trying to learn, the things that you're trying to do within your life. If you're not consistent with these things, how do you plan on succeeding? Because you'll be all over the place. If you're in data management and you're managing, data points, if you're managing like your weight as well, that's a data point essentially. If you're managing those sorts of things, if you're not consistent, how are you going to know what works? If you're trying to avoid certain foods because maybe you think it has an adverse effect on you, and then you start to eliminate it, but then you incorporate it a little bit in your life and all this sort of stuff. It's like, how do you know it's going to have any sort of effect if you don't be consistent with it and just eliminate it? There's so many different variables in here when it comes to being consistent that it's just astonishing that we let our emotions get in the way of us being consistent with what we're doing. We let the emotions take charge. And then this is something, I think it's very easy for us to get very emotional. I understand that emotional aspect of it coming into play. But you have to tame those emotions. You have to say, you know what? I'm not my emotions. The emotions don't define me. They are not me. They're a part of me. They're something that I'm experiencing, but they're not who I am. What I am is this calm, collected person who's going to focus and stick to the plan that I set forth for myself. And I'm going to do that no matter how difficult it actually is. No matter how hard it is, no matter how challenging it is, I'm going to remain calm and relaxed during the stressful situation so that I can be consistent with what I set out to do. Something I've learned over the years. Very important life lessons, primarily just from a lot of the work that I do and the stock trading as well. That's been probably one of the biggest things when it comes to managing emotions and being consistent and just being like, you know what, just accept it for what it is. Accept it for what it is. No need to get emotional. You probably wouldn't necessarily think about that, when it comes to like stock trading and everything, managing emotions. That is one of the key things. That's like number 2 when it comes to money management, when it comes to that field. But it's just remarkable, I guess, for me just to think back of how I did let those emotions control many aspects of my life. And now I'm just kind of analyzing those emotions so that I'm able to easier understand them so that they don't impact me the same way that they did before. It's like, why let them? I think it's normal to have an appropriate emotional response when needed, but you have to tame them when they're not needed. When you're getting emotional, angry, sad, even happiness that is not necessarily genuine or improper for the circumstance, being able to manage that effectively so that you realize this is not who I am. These emotions do not define me. Someone says something wrong to you and you get up in a rage, you get angry, you get hostile. Those emotions are controlling you. Something very bad and negative happens and you get very upset and depressed and you just want to give up and just end it all right there. Those emotions are controlling you. You have to manage them. Very important life skills, because once you manage them, then you can be more consistent. When you're able to be more consistent, then you start to see the actual true results of all the labor you have put out. Okay? Being consistent. Very important. So that is all. You want to take care of everyone. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.